Imagine living a double life among armed outlaws and deadly secrets. Michael did exactly that, and paid a heavy price. But what he left behind is a life lesson so powerful it could change you forever. Find out everything, right up until the very last second. You're about to hear a true story filled with secrets, impossible choices, and extreme danger, but the most shocking part isn't what happened on the streets, it's the life lesson Michael left behind. A lesson so strong it'll make you rethink your own decisions. Watch it all the way through and draw your own conclusions. Michael's life shows us that even in the darkest settings, it's still possible to hold on to your humanity. This channel is new, and it was created for one reason: to share real stories of courage and resilience, intense, emotional, and meaningful stories that can touch your heart and strengthen your mind. Every story is a reminder that empathy and faith are the true keys to facing darkness and finding peace. Like this video, subscribe now, and join us on this journey of life lessons. Imagine living for 3 decades pretending to be someone you're not, surrounded by criminals, always one step away from death, yet never losing your humanity. This is the story of Michael Harris, a former FBI agent who went deep undercover into the heart of organized crime. Today, you'll learn how he survived a deadly game of deception, and the powerful lesson his life leaves for us all. Based on true events, this story reminds us that there are many anonymous Michaels out there, each leaving marks and examples that have the power to transform lives. And you, what kind of example will you leave behind? Michael Harris wasn't born a hero. He grew up in a Christian home, raised with values of faith, discipline, and honesty. From an early age, he learned that life is built on choices: to serve others or to serve yourself, to protect or to exploit, to lift up or to tear down. That sense of purpose led him to state police, where he stood out for his courage and his ability to notice details others overlooked. But fate had bigger plans. Soon, he was recruited by the FBI, stepping into a world invisible to most people, the world of secret operations. His specialty was unlike anyone else's. While other agents relied on intimidation and cold detachment, Michael used something unexpected in the fight against crime: empathy. He didn't just disguise himself, he connected. He spoke their language, listened to their stories, shared their pain. It wasn't acting, it was authenticity. He understood that even the worst men were someone's son, and that many carried wounds that had pushed them toward the wrong side of life. That ability made him invaluable. Where others failed to earn trust, he built bonds that seemed unbreakable. But living that role came at a steep cost. For more than 30 years, Michael infiltrated some of the most dangerous environments: violent biker gangs, multi-million-dollar drug networks, white supremacists fueled by hate, and drug rings that destroyed entire communities. He witnessed ritual sacrifices in neo-Nazi camps, attended secret meetings in filthy bars, and in one of his darkest moments, was stripped naked and interrogated in a basement, surrounded by armed men who suspected he wasn't who he claimed to be. Every operation was a deadly game where the smallest mistake could cost not just his life, but the lives of his family. And then there was the psychological weight he couldn't escape. Pretending to be friends with men he later helped arrest. Laughing in conversations knowing he was there to betray them. Living under constant pressure, never allowed to let his guard down. This double life wore him down, because the line between who he really was and who he pretended to be kept getting thinner. There were times when even Michael wondered, who am I, really? The agent? Or the criminal I'm playing? Despite everything, 3 anchors kept him grounded: his faith, which reminded him that God saw him even in the darkest places; his family, who gave meaning to every sacrifice; and his sense of mission, the certainty that even if he lost himself temporarily in the underworld, he was doing it to save society from a greater evil. It was this combination that kept him from falling into the abyss of dehumanization. Michael wasn't an ordinary man living an extraordinary life. He was someone who chose, every single day, to face the darkness, not because he loved the risk, but because he believed protecting the innocent was worth any price. His story isn't just about secret investigations. It's about the quiet strength of someone who lives in constant tension yet refuses to let his heart grow hard. After more than 3 decades immersed in darkness, Michael reached a point where every step felt final. The accumulation of secret missions had pushed him to an invisible limit. Either he would become as cold as the people he hunted, or he would find a way to preserve the parts of himself that still made him human. And it was at this point of tension that the true climax of his life happened, not in a dramatic arrest broadcast on the news, but in a quiet, inner struggle. On the field, he had already faced the unimaginable. He'd felt the barrel of a gun pressed against the back of his neck. He'd been forced to laugh at cruel, racist jokes. He'd watched as people who were once sons, brothers, and husbands lost their moral compass. But his greatest battle wasn't against drug dealers, neo-Nazis, or biker gangs. It was against the temptation to dehumanize his enemies, to believe that to survive, he had to become like them. It was during one of these long undercover operations that Michael finally saw it clearly. He had earned the trust of a dangerous leader, a violent, ruthless man. One night, during what seemed like an ordinary conversation, the man broke down, tears barely contained, and admitted he hadn't spoken to his daughter in over 5 years. In that moment, the image of the criminal shifted. Michael no longer saw just a target, he saw a broken father, a human being who, somewhere deep inside, still knew how to love. That moment was like a flash of light. Michael realized his real mission wasn't just to arrest criminals, it was to resist the loss of empathy. He understood that true victory wasn't measured in the number of arrests or the kilograms of drugs seized, but in refusing to let the darkness extinguish his own light. When he finally retired, there was no Hollywood-style glory. No shining medals or epic speeches. What remained was a man marked by invisible scars, but one who could look back with certainty. He hadn't lost himself along the way. He walked through corridors of violence, lies, and hatred, yet preserved something non-negotiable, his humanity. That is the true climax of Michael Harris's life. It wasn't taking down cartels or surviving brutal interrogations. It was proving, to himself and to the world, that it's possible to walk through hell and come out whole. That it's possible to fight monsters without becoming one. In the end, Michael's greatest triumph isn't written in FBI reports, it's etched into his conscience. He never forgot that every person, no matter how terrible, was still someone's child, still carried a story, still had the capacity to change. And that belief in humanity, sustained by his faith and the support of his family, was the flame that kept him from going out. Michael Harris's life leaves us with a powerful question: how far can you go without losing who you truly are? He lived for decades surrounded by violence, lies, and betrayal, but chose not to let the darkness around him steal his humanity. That choice is rare, and perhaps the hardest anyone can make. And you? How many times have you found yourself in situations where anger felt easier than patience? How many times has the pain of injustice nearly turned you cold, indifferent, even cruel? Michael shows us that true strength isn't about protecting yourself with a heart of stone, it's about keeping alive the ability to feel, to believe, to love, even when everything pushes you to do the opposite. Are you letting your daily struggles turn you into someone you no longer recognize? Or are you finding ways to get through hardship without losing what makes you human? Think about it. What battles are you fighting right now, and what kind of person do you want to be when they're over? Michael faced real monsters, but we face ours every day, people who hurt us, challenges that drain us, pressures that push us to our limits. What will you choose? Harden yourself until you feel nothing, or protect the spark of humanity that can still shine through even the darkest situations? The lesson he left us is clear: no matter how dark your surroundings may be, the light only goes out if you let it. So I ask you, in the face of your own wars, will you let darkness win? Or will you be the example of someone who walked through pain and still held on to faith in humanity? This channel is new, and it was created to share real stories of courage and resilience, intense, full of emotion and meaning, capable of touching your heart and strengthening your mind. So leave a like, subscribe now, and join us on this journey of life lessons.